Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Archie, and today I'm going to be doing my way too early NBA playoff prediction. If you're new, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and let's get into it. Now, to begin, I want to say who I think is going to be making the playoffs. I won't go into too much depth because I don't need to, but these are the teams that I think are going to be in the playoff hunt this season. In this order, in the West is going to be the Lakers, Clippers, Jazz, Blazers, Suns, Nuggets, Warriors, Mavericks, Spurs, and Grizzlies. In the play-in games between the 9, 8, 7, and 10 seed, I believe the Warriors and the Mavericks will hold on to their spots, respectively, as 7 and 8. Now let's move on to the 1 and 8 seed. The Lakers will beat the Mavericks in 6 games, where the Mavericks give them a scare but soon fade away because of their inability to close out games and Porzingis' inability to stay healthy. Provided that AD is healthy, they will be able to close games with the best of them, and most likely there will be fans, and the fans in LA are lively to say the least. The Mavericks have the 27th worst defensive rating in the league and absolutely no paint presence whatsoever, so Trez is going to eat down low. Unless they can start hitting shots, the Mavs won't be competing for anything anytime soon. Now the 2 and the 7 seed. I believe the Clippers will sweep the Warriors in the first round because the Warriors do not have the firepower necessary to beat a star-studded team like the Clippers. Now surprisingly, the Warriors do have the 20th offensive rating in the league and an above-average defensive rating. However, PG and Kawhi, when they are on, they can't be stopped, and without putting up points and Steph not getting the help he needs, like with Kelly Oubre hitting shots, etc., Clippers will roll. The Clips have something to prove in the league, especially Paul George after he was clowned on last year and given the nickname Pandemic P, for good reason, of course. But after a disappointing season last year and losing from up 3-1 and a new head coach, I think the Clippers are going to kill the Warriors. Now the 3 and the 6 seed. In the first round, I believe that the Jazz will beat the Nuggets in 6 games. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are playing at elite levels, and if they can keep up their 3-point shooting, they are going to be one of the best teams in the league for a while. Currently, they are 3 games ahead of the Lakers for the 2nd seed, which is impressive in itself, but it also doesn't look like they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. I see them beating the Nuggets where they weren't able to last year in the first round. Now, the 4 and the 5 seed. I believe the Blazers will beat the Suns in 6 games. The Blazers are currently the 5th seed and have been missing their starters all year, whether that be Rocco, Derrick Jones Jr., CJ, or even Nurkic for missing nearly 2 months each at the same time. With any amount of continuity, they'll be able to improve their defensive rating, which is near the bottom of the league right now. The Blazers have multiple clutch shot takers and makers, and 3 lockdown perimeter defenders. They have a top 5 offensive rating in the league, and Dame is by far the best player in the league in clutch time. They can close games with some of the best teams in the league, and they also have vocal locker room vets and young talent that can run the floor. Now the Eastern Conference, I think the order will be 76ers, Bucks, Nets, Raptors, Celtics, Heat, Pacers, Knicks, Hornets, and the Bulls. And I believe that the final standings will see the Hornets move up to the 8th seed above the Knicks. I think that they're more flashy and capable of big plays, especially LaMelo Ball. Julius Randle also can't do it himself, and he can't keep up his play like this for much longer. The 1 and 8 seed, I believe the 76ers will sweep the Hornets. With an experienced coach in Doc Rivers and star power in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and spacing with Danny Green and Seth Curry, it's hard to imagine that the Sixers will lose in just the first round to a Hornets team that is so young and inexperienced. Charlotte does not have a big man capable of defending the potential MVP Joel Embiid, who's averaging over 25 points a game and leading his team to the first seed in the East, even with Simmons having missed some time. LaMelo Ball is exciting, but he's also a rookie, so you can't expect him to make these shots like he's making right now. Now the 2 and the 7 seed, I believe the Bucks will beat the Pacers in 6 games. With the inability of Giannis to close games, this will be a closer series than many would anticipate. The Bucks defense is at its lowest rating in many years, and a lot is due to Brook Lopez and the frequency that they give up threes. Last year and the year before that, teams didn't hit them like they have been this year. The Bucks cannot rotate properly this year for whatever reason, and when Lopez gets in, it's much worse. However, their defense on the perimeter was upgraded with Drew Holiday, and so is their clutch shooting because of him. They have the 3rd best offensive rating in the league so far. Now the 3 and the 6 seed, I believe the Heat will beat the Nets in 7 games and move on to the 2nd round. This will be the result until the Nets improve defensively, whether that's bringing a perimeter defender in or a paint defender like Drummond or JaVale McGee. They currently have the 5th worst defense in the league according to defensive rating, but their offense is 1st, and that's all due to the new acquisition of James Harden and the coaching style Steve Nash and D'Antoni have. The Heat, though, have experience in the playoffs and have made it to the finals just last year. They are on a 5-game win streak right now, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are both deserved All-Star selections despite both of them not being All-Star. They also have shooters that are Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson who when they're hitting shots are unstoppable and quite frankly unguardable. When, not if, the Heat keep turning their season around, they will be primed for a deep playoff run. Now the 4 and the 5 seed, I believe the Raptors will beat the Celtics in 6 games. Not only did they recently win a title with many of their current players, but they can also only go up from where they started. The Celtics simply have far too many holes in their roster to think about any type of sustained postseason success right now. Brown and Tatum really can't carry the team like this for much longer. Combined, they put up over 50 a night, the second most by any duo in the league behind Kyrie and KD. This type of basketball just cannot be sustained in the playoffs, or even the regular season at that. Currently, they're outside of the 8 seed, which is just absurd for the amount of talent they have. Brad Stevens needs to figure things out quickly. In the second round, I believe the Lakers will beat the Blazers in 7 games. Dame Lillard's ability to close games and hit clutch shots will be the reason for such a close series. The Blazers have proven to have an ability to beat the Lakers, even at full strength, and they have the clutchest player in the league, like I mentioned before. There's a chance that AD won't be healthy, so that would also make it more difficult for the Lakers, especially since Gasol is getting old, and they will need him to guard Nurkic when he's back. However, Bron will take over in Game 7 at home, and having fans there will be huge for them when it counts. LeBron James is the most experienced and probably the best player in the league right now, and I just don't see him losing to a Blazers team that looks depleted. The Clippers will beat the Jazz in 6 games. The Jazz's frequency of shooting threes will be their downfall, since that just won't sustain all year. The Clippers' ability to defend the perimeter and the paint with Serge will be too difficult for the Nuggets to score on in crunch time, and Kawhi and PG will close games at an elite level. They both have something to prove in the second round, and have a better ability to make adjustments mid-game, unlike Doc Rivers did last year against the Nuggets. The 76ers will beat the Raptors in 6 games. The Raptors will have little to no paint presence this series without Gasol and Ibaka, and they just will not be able to stop Embiid. Aaron Baines is one of the worst offensive players in the league according to PER, and that doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. Pascal Siakam still hasn't taken the leap that we all thought, and although they are a great defensive team, the 76ers will just be a bit too much. Now that the 76ers have a competent coach, they'll finally be title contenders. The Bucks will beat the Heat in 5 games. Last year, they lost to the Heat in embarrassing fashion. However, with their new roster construction and the ability to create shots without Giannis, they will be able to roll through a shaky Heat team. Giannis is awful in crunch time, but Drew Holiday and DJ Augustin can create their own shots, close games, and provide much-needed spacing. The Heat's struggles at power forward continue to plague them, and that will continue against the Bucks despite squeaking past the Nets. All Giannis needs is to get his shot. And when he gains his confidence, I think that he'll be able to make a giant impact in this series. The Lakers will beat the Clippers in 7 games. Now this is the matchup that we've all been waiting for, and it is finally here. Expect a close series of 4 of the top 10 NBA players facing off. The deciding factor will definitely be their support cast. Neither team truly has home court advantage, so it'll be fair play for both sides. However, LeBron will end up taking over down the stretch in Game 7 and pull out the dub. With AD hopefully being back, the Lakers will be able to defend both PG and Kawhi and can close game with Bron. I could also see PG choking in these big games again. His confidence might be shot being in front of rowdy Laker fans, and it could be tough for him. In the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe the Bucks will beat the 76ers in 6 games. Up until this series, no one will have been able to guard Joel Embiid like Giannis. Now that they reach Giannis and the Bucks, they have 2 capable defenders that they can put on him. Lopez can take him in the paint as one of the best paint defenders in the NBA, and Giannis will be able to check him from the perimeter. Simmons' inability to shoot threes play right into what the Bucks' scheme is, almost every single night. He can't shoot, and the Bucks give up a ton of threes every night. That's a recipe for disaster for the Sixers. Danny Green also spaces the floor, but his inconsistency will also play into the Bucks' favor, and eventually the 76ers' downfall. Now, to the finals. I believe that the Bucks will beat the Lakers in 7 games. Now is Giannis' time to shine. Fresh off of an extension, and now he's going to show why he's worth the Supermax. Drew Holiday is ready to prove why they traded as many picks to bring him in as well. With an elite offense and elite defense, and provided Coach Bud makes the right rotations at the right time, they can definitely pull out the win. Chris Middleton is again having a 50-40-90 season, and that just can't be overlooked when evaluating a true championship number 2. The Lakers are an incredible team, but something just tells me this is the Bucks' year. That's all I've got for you today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and smash like. Peace.